He's a dangerous fighter. He's always looking for the finish, which is exciting. I think he's probably the most dangerous fighter in the division, which excites me as well. It's exciting for the crowd. You know he's going to bring it. You know he's going to be unpredictable. He's going to be looking for the finish. I can't wait to use that fight IQ and just systematically break him down.
If you can't get your Islam rematch in October, Abu Dhabi, could we see you fighting for a BMF belt?
I agree with it. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, who's the real badasses? It's the guys that will fight injured and consistently. Guys like Izzy, like myself. Don't get me wrong, I look at them like badasses too. But I mean, we're holding belts and pound for pound spots and things like that, and we're still putting everything on the line. You know, I mean, that's a real badass right there. That's what I feel like. But you never know. Maybe I'll call out for that lightweight title or the BMF belt. See.
David Adesanya here, your uncrowned 145-pound champion, here with the reigning, defending, undisputed, featherweight king, top of the pound for pound, still the great Alexander Volkanovski. How are you today, champ?
I'm very good, mate. How about that intro?
Hey.
Besides the uncrowned featherweight champ thing that you started,
we might have to settle there, you know.
Beautiful.
We might have to settle there, you know. I hear you're coming to CKV sometime soon, so might have to do a little black and murder video, a sparring one of me getting beat the fuck up. Yeah, so you're coming back from the press conference, big announcement today. 3 pay-per-views in 4 years in New South Wales.
Yeah, man, it was cool. So, like, I obviously got wind about that not too long ago. So we just heard about that not long ago. They got that deal done, literally, I think maybe end of last week or something like that. So that was good to hear, man. Like, it's been a while since it's been in Sydney and, you know, backyard, literally just an hour away from where I live. So you can't argue with that. It's incredible for the next 4 years. It's a 4-year deal, but 3 pay-per-view events here in Sydney. So incredible. Not only you know, obviously UFC coming here, it's actual pay-per-view events. So it's just funny how it used to be more, you know, fight nights and, you know, maybe a pay-per-view, but usually, you know. But now with the fighters we have over here, this side of the world, obviously Australia and New Zealand, just, you know, has to be pay-per-views. So they can get definitely some of the fighters on there.
The only, I guess they're kind of 2 annoying parts is that, one, there's no indoor stadium in Sydney, which means it would have to be like, you know, a 20,000 seater arena or so on. So that would be the only thing that's not so great about it being in Sydney, because when you were fighting, it was like World War III trying to get tickets, you know what I mean? They went like that, and then everyone's like fighting and fucking everyone's stressing out, and so I guess some people might miss out. And then also the timeline, because you're fighting July 8th, Rob Drake is fighting July, you know, and we're talking about 2 months, 8 weeks in between those 2 dates, which means that, I don't know, the turnarounds could be, depending on how the fights go and so on, it seems to be a very tight timeline, so who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and obviously the dates are funny. For me, it's a tricky one. Like, you know, I'm okay with quick turnarounds. Obviously, you've got to get the job done and no injuries and whatnot. But, you know, I'd probably be happy to do that if everything was healthy and everything, you know, there was a contender and all that. But I've got a couple of issues. Well, not issues, but then you've got my wife, she's pregnant. So, like, she's due, I think.
Oh,
like
yeah, September. Fuck.
Yeah, 2 days before the fight night. So, but you never know. If everything goes well, I'll just be like, all right, babe, let's get induced early, get that out of the way. I'll, you know, be in hospital, yeah, fight week, do everything.
I mean, yeah, you'll bang it out.
Fight.
That'll be 3 fights for you in the year. You know, spend Christmas with the family. I mean, you couldn't ask for, like, you know, a better year than that. But let's talk about your last fight. You were very hard on yourself immediately after. I don't know, people were saying stuff to you, but you kind of, like, you know, just wanted to bear the whole weight and just be like, you know, I lost, it is what it is. Yeah, like, the pats on the back don't matter and whatnot. But, you know, that was a few months ago now. How are the emotions this far removed from February?
Yeah, man, like, you're right. Like, at the time, it's like, yeah, look, even though we thought we won and all that type of stuff.
So close, so close.
Yeah, I know. Like, it was a close fight. And I was just, yeah, I think I could have done some things better as well. So I'm always going to be hard on myself. I'm always like, even when I win and, you know, things go well, but there's still always things that I'm going to keep an eye on. And, you know, I'm always going to be, I'm my hardest critic. Most champions are, I guess. I know, because everyone was like, "Oh no, that's bullshit," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, look, I know," but at the end of the day, I'm just more devastated that I didn't get my hand raised, whether it was bullshit or not. I can, sort of whinge about it, but at the same time, I didn't get my hand raised, so like I had to just deal with that part. But at the same time, the pats of the back, as hard as it was to take that, it made the process of losing a lot easier as well. Everyone, thinking that I'm champ anyway, and like
Your stock
people the
only went
way
up.
the stock went up, like so. It's the conversations aren't really like I lost, if that makes sense. So it does help. I'll be lying to say if it didn't, but again, me being that competitor that I am, that's always still going to burn me a little bit.
Can you touch on some of those things that you thought that you could have done better?
I mean, there was a few things. Look, it's a tricky one for me in that situation. Was obviously you got to respect his wrestling, right? Yeah, so he's very patient. He's a very patient fighter. We know that. So he's he'll sit back and he'll wait. Like that's why he was waiting for the counters and waiting for the shots. And I knew that he was waiting, for me to come in. But at the same time, even though I knew he was waiting for me and being very patient and just waiting for me to come in to either shoot or strike, even though I knew that, it was something that I still had to try and force. Just purely to still thinking that it's all good. I'll be good enough to still make him miss. Still catch him, which I was, obviously, which he landed a few times. He definitely got a couple of good shots. But it's pretty obvious that I probably could have not worried too much about the takedowns. That would have slowed the gas tank. So I could have fought at a different range. I could have, did a few things. It's just awkward to talk about because you don't want to give too much away. But yeah. I honestly believe if I could literally do the 5 rounds again straight after that fight happened, it'd be a completely different fight, and it would have been I'm not going to say a walk in the park. He's a very good fighter, but I know I got his number.
Yeah, I mean, even though you didn't win the fight officially, you still did things that the best lightweight contenders couldn't do to Islam. You did something to him that people in the weight class above you couldn't even do. So taking all that, like, how much new confidence do you have, especially knowing that your next fight's going to be at 145 against a smaller guy, and then you've just almost defeated and made, Islam Makhachev look like something that no one else has ever made him, look like, like a human, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it does help with the confidence a little bit, but I believe I could do that before the fight, right? Yeah. I believed that, I believed in my ability and my, the fight IQ and my understanding of the game and the understanding of these positions that would be good. And then obviously preparation and everything like that. But I mean, I just didn't know how good he was. Obviously he was really good and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So it went how I thought it would go. I knew that, he probably will he will take me down, but I will get back up. I'll be very hard to submit. I knew that. So he did live up to the hype. Again, a lot of people just thought that there's no way. So everyone would think my confidence would be up there because they didn't expect me to do that, but I did. So everything's pretty similar, if that makes sense. But It does give you confidence when you start looking at everyone else, right? Other people that are going to try and out grapple me or try and
it goes
wrestle me.
Yeah.
Then you start being like, okay. Now I can be, I'm not a cocky type of guy, but I can be a little confident. This guy's going to struggle to throw me around. This guy can't. So it definitely does. But at the same time, I didn't sit there going, oh, wow, I've all of a sudden got this superhuman strength. I believe I always had that strength.
Yeah.
I believe I always had that fight IQ and that understanding of the game. Yeah. It was just the world got to see it.
Yeah, I guess it goes both ways too, because, you're saying that you knew that you could do that to him, so your confidence didn't rise that much. But then let's say the guys in 145 that were like, they were saying, Alex is going to get tossed around, or Alex, they didn't think that you could do that. These are your future opponents in featherweight. And then after they see what you just did and what you almost so close. Up until the point where they announced Islam won, everyone was like, Volk had done it. So these future featherweight contenders looking at what you just did to Islam, in their head, they might be, it would definitely be like, when they're up next against you, you're not just some featherweight king. You're a featherweight king, also potentially champ. You're that good. So that could be also a new barrier, in their minds when they come across the octagon and you're facing them.
Yeah, I agree. You think that they'll be like, oh wow, this is a tough fight, but if I was in their shoes and thinking the same thing, with my mindset, my mentality, I would still look at whatever I can and and have trust in my preparation, my team, and believe I can do it. So again, I just think different to a lot of these guys, maybe. So who knows? But you're right. I think they probably thought I was going to get squashed, and they said no, I didn't. They're like, oh, far out. So
Yeah.
especially some of the grapplers, right? Imagine some of the wrestling grapplers that are in my division being like, oh, yeah, I reckon I could do it. Guys like, well, I mean, Aljamain reckons he could submit me. He would have seen that and be like, oh, shit. Then you've got guys, I don't know, who else? Bryce Mitchell. There's a few of them, I'm sure.
I mean, the first thing Islam said in
guys.
his post-fight interview was like he didn't think you'd be that strong. I mean, that was the first thing he said. So, I mean, if he's saying that and you're coming up from a smaller division and everything, I mean, yeah, the featherweight contenders, yeah, they're going to have to be, I mean, they should have been hitting the gym that night after that fight.
Yeah.
What would you say are the main differences from a featherweight training camp and a lightweight training camp at this level now that you've done it and you've processed it and thought about it?
So I'm already so I've even talked to Geordie, the fight dietitian. I was like, I think I want to be a little bit lighter earlier, just so I can move. And already, because I'm lighter now, like compared to the lightweight camp, because I had to do a lot of the strength program, the bulking, just so much wrestling, and I just didn't feel as fast, right? So I was like, oh man, it was right till the last couple of weeks where I started bringing that weight down a little bit, where I was like, oh, okay, I can move a little bit better now, you know what I mean? I was a bit slower than I would like, where now featherweight already, the sessions are that little bit easier, even though they're the same sessions, not carrying that extra 3-4 kilograms. Obviously you're sharper and it doesn't beat up your body as much. So I was feeling it during that camp, pushing that weight and then doing so much grappling and so much wrestling, being in bad positions and constantly fighting out of them. At the end of the week, I'd feel it. I was feeling it right up. It wasn't until I started losing that bit of weight, the last couple, even though intensity was probably higher, my body could deal with it a bit better because, my weight was at a more sensible weight that I'm used to and that I like. We're already now, I'm doing some of these sessions already. I already did a meet grinder yesterday, one of our hard fight simulators. And very, very happy with how I'm moving already. My explosiveness and everything and the whole way through the rounds. Obviously, we build it up, but the way I was moving through that first meat grinder compared to even other camps, especially last camp, I was definitely wasn't moving this quick and this explosive. So it's good. It's good to be back at featherweight.
Talking about, last question I'll ask about Islam, talking about a potential future rematch. Does the thought of, fighting Islam in Abu Dhabi, in his backyard with all his supporters, and, you're the one getting booed now instead of him getting booed, and the storyline as well of almost getting it done, but then now you're going behind enemy lines to try and put a stamp on it. Does that storyline excite you and that potential rematch in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, 100% it does. It does. It does excite me. Obviously, just the rematch itself and the challenge of getting that champ belt, that all excites me. But then in his backyard and all that, that just adds to the story. And I love that because I know I'm not going to be phased. How many times have we got to fight overseas? And, I'm fighting guys that fan favorites like Max Holloway and things like that. Even zombies. Obviously, I've been booed plenty of times. I just end up using that as fuel. So you can cheer for me. I'm going to use it as fuel. I've said this before. You boo at me. I'll have that chip on my shoulder. I'm going to use it as fuel. That's just how I'm programmed. You know what I mean? I'll find a way to get myself motivated and make it work every single time. You know what I mean? They talk about being positive and, and moving on. And, I'm all about that. You know what I mean? Again, these guys are going to try and use it as excuses. Me, I'm probably going to use it. I'm going to use it as fuel. You know what I mean? And then you won't hear me be like, oh, I did it in his, I'm not going to care about that because I know I'm going to be able to embrace everything, embrace the boos. If I get booed, you know what I mean? Whatever, it's been done before. I think other people will appreciate it more. So, again, the story of everyone going, oh, now he's going over to Abu Dhabi. They're going to talk about longer rehydrating times or whatever it is. Whatever. You can have all these excuses because you fought in Australia, even though we travel every single time we fight. You know what I mean? You're making it as if it's some crazy thing you did, even though we do that all the time. I'm going to show you that I'll do it in your background, all that, and that shit ain't going to matter. Yeah. I don't care how big you get or whatever it is. You're bigger than me. That's That's that. You've always been bigger than me. Oh, I knew you were going to be bigger than me. That's fine. You can be bigger than me in Abu Dhabi. It ain't going to matter. You can have the people cheering. That ain't gonna give you your breath back when I'm smothering you and in your face again. So
agreed.
that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So,
first off, I'd say congratulations on being the headline of the 2023 International Fight Week. That's another notch on your belt.
Thank you.
You had a amazing 2022. You've already started 2023 off strong, coming off the back of Perth. Now you're about to do International Fight Week, on track to fight 3 times this year. Looks like your 2023 is going to be even greater than your 2022. So congratulations on that. From your team side of things, what do you guys think are the biggest threats that Yair poses?
Oh man, he's a dangerous fighter. He's a fighter that's he's always looking for the finish, which is exciting, which excites me as well. It's exciting for the crowd. You know he's going to bring it. You know he's going to be unpredictable. He's going to be looking for the finish. Even if it goes to the ground, he's constantly looking for the finish. His last couple of fights was in from submissions. You know, that's just the fighter he is. He's on the back foot. He's coming back with flying in, spin kicks. You know, no matter where it is, he is looking for the finish. Whether you're pressuring him, whether you're on the back foot, he's marching forward looking for the finish, which, again, that's exciting. But obviously there's a lot of threats. Does that leave a lot of openings? Yeah, it does. But at the same time, a reckless, dangerous fighter like that, who's very calculated in his approach when he does it too. He isn't just spazzy and just does whatever. He still understands everything that's going on. Like, he still knows what he's doing and still trying to time things and draw people in. Like, so he still does it in a very calculated way. It doesn't look like he's composed and calculated, but it is. I can't wait to use that fight IQ and just systematically break him down. You know, take away him thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then all of a sudden he can't do any of those just from my fighting style and things that I'm doing. You know, he's going to want to do a lot of this flashy stuff, this unpredictable stuff. He's going to maybe find it hard when I'm not in the right position for him to throw these things. You get what I mean? So, or the right range, you know what I mean? Or little things like that. I can't wait to really throw a spanner in the works and then just see how much I can take away from him and make him pay every time he overcommits and does something a little outrageous.
Because of everything you've just mentioned, does this make it one of the more trickier and complex game plans your team have had to come up with in response to the threats that Yair possesses?
Yeah, I think so. Like, obviously you've got the submission threats and all that. Again, it's a similar sort of style with Ortega, where Ortega's always looking for the finish. But I believe, Brian's probably going to be a bit more dangerous on the floor, but on the feet, obviously that's Yair's world. Yair's going to be a lot more dangerous than that and a lot more calculated, a lot more different ranges. That's what's exciting about it. I think he's probably the most dangerous fighter in the division. He's
so you'd say the most dangerous
fighter
that you've faced up until this point?
Yeah, I believe so, 100%. I think most dangerous. Does that mean it's the most hardest? We'll see. But I mean, you know, a lot of people, oh, what about Max and what about this? And they're like, yeah, they're different challenges, right? That's the thing. People got to understand, you know, they're going to be different challenges. So I always thought that, you know, I'd look at Yair as more of a dangerous opponent for me than an Islam. You get what I mean? Like, because of that crazy, sporadic sort of always looking for a finish, you know what I mean? And the striking and unpredictable sort of behavior. So that stuff, again, it's different. What's a harder fight? You know, I'd probably say Islam's going to be a harder fight, but who's more dangerous? Then I'm going to say Yair's more dangerous, which is, again, it excites me. It excites me, you know what I mean? He's going to have these big threats, and I can't wait to you know, see how I deal with him fight night.
Yeah, and in preparation for Yair, you've been working with 11-time martial arts world champion in Taekwondo and karate, Carl Van Roon. How's that been, and what has he been adding to your game?
You know, obviously he can add a bit. It's not much about adding things to my game. Obviously he can, but at the same time, it was a lot of it's got to do with
showing you the looks.
I just want to, give me looks. You know what I mean? Like at that level, you know what I mean? He's not only much bigger, he's much longer. He's been, you know, he understands MMA, which is incredible too. It's not like I just got some some Taekwondo guy that's, I'm throwing him a whole different world. He's been fighting at and training with the guys at CKB for how long? He's had MMA fights. And he understands the game. So he really understands the game. So he's dealt with things and he knows how to cut people off. He knows how to draw people in. He knows how to even fight at boxing ranges. You know what I mean? He's obviously really good at a very long range. So he's going to be more of a problem than what I have to deal with. So I want to have these problems in front of me. I want to be able to deal with them. The right habits coming off them, all that stuff. Again, I want to go into detail. I'd love to, but we could talk after the fight, and then I could really break up all that stuff down, and I'll be able to. But it's exciting, you know what I mean? And then having someone like that flicking crazy stuff at you, and how fast he is. So he's he's as fast as a flyweight, but he's obviously, what is he, welterweight, middleweight? He's massive as well, and very, very long, and understands that range, you know what I mean? So it's incredible. So obviously it's incredibly difficult to deal with, but I want to deal with that in preparation, not be surprised with it fight night.
Yeah, sounds like everything's going well on that front, and you're enjoying
I love
training with Carl, and your confidence is growing with the more of those looks that he's given you. Talking about featherweight still, your good old mate Izzy seems to have given your arch nemesis Max some inspiration when it comes to chasing that fourth fight. So I'll ask you one question first. What would Max have to do to get a fourth fight with you, or is that chapter completely done? Because the other side of it is that he is spoiling the party for all your number one contenders. You know what I mean? So it's like...
Yeah, look, it is that's obviously a little frustrating. You could say it's a little frustrating. It's funny because I've been even saying, I go, mate, it's the same Max. People are thinking he's getting down because of what I did to him in the last. I go, that's not that. I'm obviously evolving and I'm getting at my peak and understanding of the game, and he's still that good. And they just had to figure that out the hard way by fighting contenders. But it's, again, what does he have to do? I don't know, man. At the end of the day, anything is possible. It'll be definitely hard to sell me on it now.
I mean, does the UFC have to send? Does UFC have to send Max up so that some contenders can come through for you, or?
Oh man, I don't. Yeah, well, I don't know. I just think it's a tricky situation for him, I guess, and he's hoping that I just lose, right, to Yair Rodríguez or something like that, and hoping that I move up. But I don't know. So it's a tricky one. I think he's I don't know what he needs to do. For me, I've obviously got to worry about. I've got a few other things that I need to worry about and that excite me a lot more than a fourth fight. But when you talk about, the fourth fight with Max, when you're talking about Izzy.
Yeah,
it's that's a bit different. Obviously, they had your two MMA fights, two UFC fights, right? And then you look at Izzy. So Izzy winning majority of that fight and then getting caught and then having the rematch and then knocking him completely out. It's
different storylines, different scenarios.
I think what I mean. That was different. I've watched the fights with Izzy and Pereira, even that first one, I'm don't know how we didn't get that decision, really. The first fight, but that's beyond the point. And then obviously that second fight again, completely dominated, but that's kickboxing as well.
Yeah.
Obviously the big storyline, that's why it was very exciting. At the end of the day, you're just going to go by UFC. They fought, and then he just went and won that belt back. Where I don't know. I think for Max, it's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's just a harder sell. It's just a lot harder sell.
Last thing we'll touch on is Dana White's special announcement. I guess this kind of pertains to you now because of the fight in Perth. We'll start with the BMF belt. Justin versus Dustin. What are your initial thoughts on that fight? Because this could be future opponents for you. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And I'm looking at that way. I am 100% looking at it. And they're exciting fights. They're fun fights. I think anyone can knock each other out. But, I mean, if I had to lean towards someone, I feel like, I would start leaning towards Poirier. So he obviously won the last time they fought. And I think, I'd probably lean towards Dustin. But, I mean, you can't tell me that, Justin Gaethje can't catch him. You know what I mean? And then you've seen even in Justin's last fight, his fitness held on. Obviously for Zeev slowed down a bit, and then Justin started pouring on. So he might even be there the whole time. But I just think, that Dustin can go the 5 rounds. And, he probably gets more and more technical as the fight goes on. He actually, he ends up pouring it on. He slows him down a bit. And then, I just feel like he comes into his own much better in the later rounds than I've seen Justin.
Yeah, and speaking, we'll keep it on the BMF belt. If you can't get your Islam rematch in October, Abu Dhabi, could we see you fighting for a BMF belt? Because you would be in that category after what you've done. Know what I mean?
I mean, like, it's funny you say that. Like, I agree with it. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, fight anyone, anywhere, like anytime. You know what I mean? Like, who's the real badasses? It's the guys that will fight injured and consistently. Guys like Israel Adesanya, obviously your brother, like myself. I look at these guys are bad. Don't get me wrong. I look at them and they're like badasses too. But I mean, yeah, 100%. And that's something that I'd love to do it. I'll do it anywhere, any place, any time.
Yeah, and plus because you've cleaned out your division and you might not have any contenders, so we might have to start talking about fun things like the BMF belt. And also, even if
maybe a BMF belt fight while if Islam's doing his thing and then we do our rematch after it, then I can have 3 belts. You know what I mean? I'd love that. Featherweight, BMF belt, and that lightweight belt.
Champ.
We're on something. It's funny. It's just I've had a couple of little conversations about it. I go, you know what? That's definitely something that's on the cards. Obviously, they just announced it yesterday. So
yeah.
I was I was looking at that and be going, 100%. Like we don't pick and choose, you know what I mean? Like, we'll fight back to back, we'll have short camps, we'll be injured, we'll do whatever, and we'll still turn up and put it all on the line, especially. And we're not just doing that for money. We're doing that while we're holding belts. You know what I mean? Like, that's some real badass shit. You know what I mean? Try not only, putting everything on the line. These people, don't have belts. They're not coming off crazy victories and things like, we're holding belts and pound for pound spots and things like that, and we're still putting everything on the line. That's a real badass right there. That's what I feel like. But we'll see. But that's definitely something that I'd love to do. But I've got to worry about Yair Rodríguez. But you never know. Maybe I'll call out for that lightweight title or the BMF belt. We'll see.
I like a fun fight at lightweight would be great to see you in. And last thing I'll talk about too, because seems like these two fighters are destined for featherweight because of their size and the frame. The bantamweight title fight, Aljo versus O'Malley. After what you saw Aljo do to Cejudo, and also if you think back to O'Malley's fight versus Yan, what are your initial thoughts on that bantamweight title fight in August?
Man, I think it's a tricky one. I believe that O'Malley's striking is obviously a lot better. Don't get me wrong, Aljamain's striking is not too bad. He's still good. He's tricky. And he's got a weird pressure, especially when you're going to have that wrestling threat, that backpack threat. You know what I mean? That's definitely going to play a factor. I think Sean O'Malley definitely has a confidence to stay composed and be sharp on the feet and not hesitate too much because of it. But I mean, if I had to lean towards someone, 5 rounds, probably Aljo. But I definitely can see Sean O'Malley catching him. And the thing is, you obviously had Henry Cejudo and Aljo both wanting to move up after some wins. They eventually want to go to featherweight, which is exciting as well. It's good that he's fighting O'Malley. I think this is a massive fight for him. I think it's good. And to be honest, I wanted to get this out there. I was actually even going to tweet about it or even comment on Aljo doing such a quick turnaround. I think that was great for him. I think good on him. That was a very smart thing to do. I don't know if he was forced into it or not.
I mean, I don't think he's signed the contract yet, because I checked the story yesterday and he was on a date night with his missus and he was eating cake and ice cream and then he said on Ariel
last bit of cake.
Yeah, hopefully, but it could be one of those one of those ones where they announce it before it's been signed. But hey, that's how they do business.
Okay, we'll see. But I mean, if that does happen, I love that. And I think that's great for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's been hard done by. Let's be real. He's been hard done by the last few fights. People got to start giving the man respect. He's fighting absolute killers and winning. And there's people giving him hard fights. Let's be real. I don't think it was. You can't tell me it was that controversial his last fight. You know what I mean? But everyone's trying to act like it was. I don't know how. I thought he was winning. You know, it was it might be close, but I mean, give the man a break. I'm glad he's doing the quick turnaround. I think that's going to get a lot of people on his side. And not only that, it's a massive fight. Sean O'Malley pulls numbers. This is incredible. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that fight, how that plays out. But yeah, because I know, again, you heard your Henrys and your Aljos talk about coming up and moving up to featherweight, which I would love that. A big win from Aljo if he was to take out O'Malley, you know, that'd be huge for him. You know, I think that sets him right up for a fight in featherweight. So, and him doing the quick turnaround, I love that. So
that's what he said though. Aljo, if he beats Sean, that's going to be his last fight as bantamweight, and he's coming up. He said that a few weeks ago. But yes, you're right. Those are the things that he needs to be doing to try and change his narrative and, you know, get some support on his side, because I mean, he's putting in the work, and the fans will be the fans and feel how they want to feel and say what they want to say. But doing fast turnarounds and, you know, not trying to not fight O'Malley, I mean, yeah, these are the things that would help turn that around for him, which would be great. It'd be nice to see him getting, you know, his just due.
And I think just with time, he's probably starting to come into his own where he's going to start getting the confidence and, all right, comfortable. He's like, I'm in my peak now. Obviously, the weight cut's something for him that's going to be hard for him to go back to back. Maybe that's why it's very hard for him to do. But once you start getting real confident with yourself and where you're at, you know, you can do that. You know what I mean? And people really respect that. I think that was the biggest thing for me. Me being active was definitely awesome for me. And obviously taking fights that a lot of people wouldn't do. And you see how much people appreciate it. Obviously, how much people appreciate Adesanya, myself, and guys that do that. You know, I believe they're the real BMFs. So I love seeing it.
Yeah, that was cool for you to say, because I guess you sort of went through something similar when you were beating fan favorites and the whole Max thing and everyone not being on your side. So, no, yeah, that's dope that you're sharing that perspective from yourself and putting it out there for him to grab onto. Thank you, boss. What a wonderful chat. Thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy man. I'll leave you to go. Leave you to go handle your business, look after the family. So yeah,
good stuff. See, look at this. You see my new office. The bub's on the way, so we've got it set up. Got the baby
ready to change nappies.
The dressing tables here.
God damn.
Bassinet right there. Got it all. Got my hunter shirt.
Let's go. Nah, thank you so much, boss. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
No worries at all, my man. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.